Alright lads, so the end of month resurrection batch is finally here. We briefly spoke about them yesterday, reacting to the new skills they did pick up, but let's actually try them out today with their newfound upgrades. In this case, we have a new resurrectable version of Orihime, Jackie, and also Yukio. Alright, so starting off, we're going to be trying out Jackie. And now, Jackie, in this case, she is a power SP character with the Hollow Kill ability. And you know what? For a brief time, especially when she first came out, she was one of the better characters for the most part. She was still lacking, but I do remember using her quite often, mainly in Senkaman content, because she is a power human with Hollow Killer. That was still something that was kind of good. She had that niche going for her. And in Senkaman stages, especially before Transcendence, you know, the rules were really important. If you didn't have a human character, like Jackie, for example, you might have been struggling a tad bit. But at the same time, she was also a pretty decent character for the SA2, which was the boost attack. Again, I also remember some people actually using it in Epic Raid content, just for the purpose to give people the boost. So, you know, even though she might not be the best character nowadays, even with this resurrection, it doesn't really save her that much. And she has been long forgotten about in terms of just this version of Jackie. At least the new one is actually pretty decent. This Jackie did have a place in the meta, or at least in the game when she came out. And speaking of when she came out, there's actually kind of a funny little story regarding this particular banner, is that they came out on September the 16th in 2018. Now, a few days before these characters actually came out, we saw them in-game as bosses because this is also the first time we had resurrections released. We're quickly using our soul bomb. Didn't even kill, but luckily we dodged it, and the boost skill's there. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, it is kind of crazy when you actually think about it. It's like, these characters came out when Resurrections first started in 2018, and now finally, like 4 years later, they're getting their resurrections. It's kind of weird to think about. We've come a long way since then, but I do remember when this banner was first released, or prior to it releasing, you could actually see them in game. You could see their strong attacks and also their visuals because we could go against them. So that was kind of fun. Very rarely does that ever happen, and this is one of the few times it actually did. But having a closer look at her resurrection, what we will notice right from the get-go is that she does get a damage increase. She did pick up 20% Berserker, which as always, even if it is a small increase in your damage, it's still always nice just to get it. It's the bare minimum when it comes to resurrections, but it is still nice that these older characters can now hit a tad bit harder. Alongside that 20% Berserker, though, she also did pick up an extra skill, which really could have made her a tad bit decent. Instead, though, like many other resurrections, unfortunately, she picked up Follow-Up. Now, Follow-Up, again, because it is still... It's not a rare skill, but you don't see it thrown around that often. You might not know what it is. Essentially, when you knock down an enemy, you actually can't hit them with their normal attacks. So let's quickly hit an enemy down. And you can see that we can hit them instantly because we have the follow-up skill. It's a nice skill to have. It's more of a quality of life skill, in my opinion, and it's really good on normal attack damaging characters. But for some reason, maybe KLab just don't know what to give a character like this for that extra skill. They give a follow-up, which again, isn't that good. Like, it's nice to have in her case because she doesn't have built-in recharge, so she still has an issue with her strong attacks coming back a tad bit slower. So you are going to be using your night string quite often, even though you don't really want to. So the follow-up isn't the worst here, but again, I'd much rather had picked up Recharge, for example. But other than that, her Soul Trait, which originally was 25% strong attack damage, she then picked up Stamina Recovery, so she can have an easy time staying at full stamina, which isn't really that good, mainly because she herself doesn't have any full stamina abilities, so it doesn't really make sense. At the same time, strong attack damage and stamina recovery isn't really a combination that you're going to use at all, in my opinion. You know, I said it in yesterday's video, I like me some stamina recovery links. I like it with recharge and normal attack damage, and I could see myself using those type of links, but when you throw it onto strong attack damage plus 25, I don't really see myself using that at all. At the same time, because it was a 25% strong attack damage link originally, she had some really good potential to be one of the better links in the power attribute. If she picked up full stamina damage or recharge, it would have been a good link. Unfortunately, though, they gave her stamina recovery, so as a link, it's very, very niche. Like, you're very rarely ever going to use that. It doesn't even help her that much. And in terms of an upgrade, not really the best. Playtime isn't too bad though, because she does have a good strong attack here. Like, it isn't the worst. But I think ideally in this resurrection, she really wanted to pick up that extra bit of recharge. Next up though, let's have a look at Yukio. Now, I do want to just emphasize Yukio's visuals. Every Yukio we have in the game, you know, even the first one actually looks quite impressive because Yukio is one of those characters where he has a very unique ability. Like, his abilities is literally just games. And Caleb usually do a decent job at implementing that power system into the game. And a lot of the times, I gotta say, this character is maybe a bit underappreciated in BBS more particularly because his visuals are always like top tier in my opinion. Especially the most recent power one. Like, he has to have one of the best visuals on any character in the entire game, especially when it comes to strong attacks. I don't use the power character that much because he isn't that that good, but when I did use him, it feels really smooth just having some really good visuals. And the same can be said here. Like his Nad string, and he is a Nad character, keep that in mind. Really cool. And we kind of saw this Nad string get introduced to the banner prior to him, which was the remake of Tsukishima, the Mind version. And, you know, he got resurrected a while ago, so you might not remember what his visuals look like. But the Nad string is kind of cool because it has him disappear and reappear to do the initial attack. I liked it on Tsukishima, and I was kind of glad they brought it onto this character because he is a Nad character too, so you're going to be using this attack quite often. And then we also saw this Nad string get put onto characters like Oetu, for example, where again, like you disappear and reappear for that initial attack. And in this case, it's kind of cool. He's just pressing his buttons and summons pixel swords. I mean, it's cool. I like it. His SA2 is obviously a vortex. That's good for him, especially because this character did not pick up guard break, nor did we expect it, to be honest. But again, really cool SA2. And then his SA3 is just a bunch of cubes sucking them in together. Kit-wise, for a Nad character, this is quite good. I mean, when it comes to Nad characters like this, especially back in the day when this character first initially released, having a self-surrounding vortex SA2 to help break guard was good. SA1 being like a type of pushback attack was good. And then the SA3 being like a vacuum vortex attack is also really good for just grouping up enemies, breaking guard. Overall, this character, when he came out, wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, though, when it came to his resurrection, he picked up basically nothing. It's actually one of the worst resurrections we've seen to date, and it's very unfortunate in my opinion. This character was a hybrid character, right? He came with bombardment, and he came with very similar numbers in terms of strong attack damage and also no attack damage, as he has a 30% berserk and a 40% bruiser. But having said that, he was given the 20% normal attack damage soul trait, so he was a very weird one because like he is literally a hybrid, right? You don't want to build him NAD, you don't want to build him SP, and again, hybrid builds aren't really that good. And what we have seen when it comes to other characters getting resurrected that were also hybrids, you know, they don't really get the best upgrade. And in this case, this character, upon resurrecting, only picked up 20% more damage to paralyzed enemies. That isn't good. Again, it's basically not even changing him. Like, we're going to do a bit more damage when we inflict our paralysis, mainly against the boss with our soul bomb. But against these enemies, we're basically playing exactly how we played prior to resurrecting. In addition to that too, his soul trait, which originally was a 20% non-attack damage soul trait, he did additionally pick up paralysis duration minus 55%, which we mentioned yesterday. I actually don't mind it. It's a pretty good soul trait. I can see myself using it, and it's also the first of its kind in the mind attribute. So it definitely is a niche soul trait. You might not use it all that often, but if you ever do need to use a NAD character to make it so they're immune to paralysis but also get that NAD bonus, you can use them as a link, and that wouldn't actually be too bad. But let's quickly use our soul bomb. Again, pretty cool soul bomb, and then now we can actually demonstrate the 20% more damage that we can do after we do inflict a statism. And so that's basically about it. Very unfortunate character. Obviously, being a hybrid character isn't really that good, especially on release. And when it comes to resurrections, hybrid characters like this don't get the justice they deserve when it comes to resurrections. And for the most part, he plays the exact same. And his link, while it is good that he is the first of its kind for the mind attribute, it definitely is on the more niche side, and it's no guarantee if you ever will use it. But saving the best for last, we have the Bond version of Orihime, who actually got a pretty good resurrection, which I'm personally really happy about because I actually kind of like a character. Now, the great thing about this character picking up a resurrection is the fact that she is a Chronicle Quest bonus. Again, what we did see in 2022 more particular was that Caleb purposely skipped over characters that were Chronicle Quest bonuses. It was kind of annoying because some of these characters actually could get a good resurrection, like this Orihime, and there was no explanation on why they did it, and we still don't know entirely why. But the good thing is that it's finally here, and I don't mind waiting an extra couple months for these characters to get resurrected because it could mean they could pick up a better resurrection, like with this Orihime. We'll explain why in a minute. But yeah, when this character first came out, she was actually pretty exciting. Same goes for Jackie too. I didn't mention it, is that when we were first getting the TLA arc characters, the 4-bring characters, for example, we unfortunately had 4-star characters, and it is nice that obviously we had new 4-star characters back in the game at that point, but it meant that characters like Orihime and Chad, for example, they never got the 5-star treatment when it came to the TLA arc. Orihime, in this case, people were looking forward to a TLA Orihime, and unfortunately she came out as a 4-star, so it was nice to finally see Orihime from this particular arc get the 5-star treatment. At the same time, there's a little funny backstory behind this character, is that she was actually leaked beforehand. Back on the Caleb Game Station live streams, which they used to do when this character came out, they didn't hide the loading screen, and unfortunately for them, Orihime was the character that was being shown. So imagine just sitting there watching the live stream, you're not expecting any news because they didn't announce any news there, and then lo and behold, out of nowhere, there's a new Orihime. It's actually a funny story, and there was 2 occasions that the KGS team actually accidentally leaking a character, and that was the first time it happens. So yeah, prior to this character officially being revealed, we knew she was coming. And upon release, she was a decent non-attack damaging character. Her main thing was that she was a 20 DR link, and at this point in time, 1000 Year Blood War Yachi Unohana was still running Rampage and Brave Battles. So this was just another link just to make your Unohana better. Transcendence at this point didn't exist, so 20 DR links like this really made a difference, especially when almost every, Brave Battle character was on the even playing fields. Links like this Orihime really did matter, so if you had Yachiru and you wanted to still, again, pursue Brave Battles, you really wanted to pick up this particular character just for the purpose of being a link. That said though, as already mentioned yesterday, upon resurrecting, she actually did pick up Flurry, and you are noticing that our normal attack damage is actually significantly harder here. Previously, she had a 50% bruiser. Now, she has Flurry +1, and also for the first time ever, a character picked up Flurry on a resurrection, but also kept their bruiser value. Usually that was the trade-off, and it was still a good trade-off in my opinion. You lose 50% bruiser, in some cases 80% bruiser, but you pick up Flurry. It wasn't ideal, but it was still better than just having a bruiser value. But again, in this case, Orihime picked up the Flurry, but also kept the bruiser, which is actually really good. She actually does hit quite hard now for a character that came out back in 2018. And then alongside that, the second skill that she did pick up is multi-barrier. So in this case, we have a barrier SA2, and now it's a 5-hit barrier. So in terms of upgrades, this is actually a really good one. Like, there's almost nothing bad about this resurrection in terms of the skills. She got exactly what she wanted, and of course, we would have preferred guard break, but KLab aren't ready to give guard break to resurrection characters just yet. But there is one bad thing about this character resurrection, or not really that bad, but less ideal, is the fact that she did pick up weakened duration as her second soul trait. Again, originally 20% DR, that's really good. And picking up weakened duration isn't really that good for the current meta, because again, you're going to be using her on characters like Yuha Baha, and he's immune to weakening already, so it's not really like that useful for him. Normal attack damage, last ditch survivor would have been a tad bit more ideal here, just to make Yuha a bit more toxic in Brave Battles if you wanted to do that. And I think, in my opinion, this soul trait is only really helping Yachiru, so it's in a way kind of good. But let's quickly use our soul bomb. Pretty cool soul bomb. And speaking of Yachiru, we're putting Raitu down. So yeah, unironically, I think this soul trait only helps out Yachiru, which is kind of funny because again, this character was released to kind of push the 1000 Year Blood War Yachiru Unohana meta in Brave Battles. So I guess it's kind of nice that she's now also like her best link. And the reason why I say that is because Yachiru is designed to go against captain characters. And she does go through invincibility, so she can be used to go against someone like 1000 Year Blood War Yamamoto. But the problem with Yamamoto is that he could inflict weakening, and that would outright just make Yachiru Unohana lose. So in this case, if you actually use this link on Yachiru Unohana, give her the weakened duration bonus ability, and then maybe last ditch or dodge, that will basically ensure that if you have a well-built Yachiru, you could actually now have an easy time taking down Yamamoto's in Brave Battles. So even though again the soul trait is less ideal, it could have been better, I still think it's good. It's good if you're using Yachiru in Brave Battles, and it could be good sometime in the future if we do get a heart character that's designed for Brave Battles that doesn't innately have weakening immunity. So that was the video for today, trying out the 3 new resurrectable characters. Orihime definitely got the biggest upgrade here, definitely a big game changer for her, because again, Flurry with the bruiser is just really good. The multi-barrier too, some really nice support for herself. The link, while mentioned, isn't ideal. You definitely can get a usage out of it if you still use Yachiru in Brave Battles, and even then, 20 DR is still great, especially with the added stats that she now does have upon resurrecting. Yukio, niche link, could be good in the future. As a character though, basically stayed the exact same, bad resurrection in my opinion. And Jackie, I'm kind of indifferent on. In terms of an upgrade, I guess she's better. But I was really hoping for her to pick up a good second soul trait, namely full stamina damage or recharge. Unfortunately, didn't get that. So I'd say she's kind of a mediocre link. I don't really see myself using that. So it's kind of a mixed bag, some mid, some good, and some bad. But the most important part is Chrono Cross characters are now starting to get resurrected. So that opens the doors for characters like Bond Ichigo to get resurrected potentially next month. And if he gets Flurry +1 and also keeps the bruiser just like this Orihime, which he's most likely going to do, that's going to be another pretty good resurrection. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.